Hi. I did originally just have like a really short intro because people keep leaving comments like skip to 3 minutes in for the real podcast or for the real interview. So I did it really fast, and then I thought, you know what? Fuck those people. I'm doing this for free, mate. And I'm not even trying to sell you like mattresses or anything like that. There's no like, you know what, guys? The other day I realised I needed a really good mop. So I used Magic Mop. Go to magicmop.com and use the code CraiggyMop for 10% off a little fucking mop. I don't even do that, even though technically I just did that. So, I don't know, skip to 5 minutes in if you don't want to hear me not sell you a mop. I'm just sat here trying to enjoy a lovely Northern Monk Brewery passion fruit IPA without selling you any kind of adverts or products. And, you know, you're just berating me. You're just discrediting my hard work. I'm joking. This, of course, is a joke. If you want to skip this bit, skip this bit. I know there's going to be a lot of new fans because my guest this week's Jordan Fish from Bring Me the Horizon. Big band, innit? Big Me the Horizon. Huge Horizon energy. Jordan is, I guess he's a keyboardist live, but, you know, he's a songwriter. I originally thought he did everything when he joined the band because the band changed a lot, and I've since found out he actually does less than I thought he did, but more also than I thought he did. That makes no sense. When I say that out loud, it makes no sense, but when you listen to the next 2 hours in which me and Jordan Fish talk about his glorious rise to a member of one of the biggest bands, I would say, in the world, it will make more sense. We had a great chat. I know Jordan from way back, and it's honestly amazing. He was very talented back in the day, but it's amazing to see where he is at now. As I said, we talk about how he joined the band. If you're a news website that's going to nick some of this for your press release, do me a favour and just link to the podcast, please. If it's your first time listening to the Downbeat on Knotfest or wherever you're listening to it, thanks for coming. Check out the other episodes. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Renlord, weird name that I sort of decided on when I was about 21. You can go to www.thedownbe.at, so it spells downbeat, and there's t-shirts and that, and if you don't fancy a t-shirt or you're like a nudist, you could just donate if you liked it, or not. Suit yourself. Jordan Fish on the Downbeat podcast. I'm going to count to 4, and we're going to clap 4 times, and then that's when the podcast starts.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that producer timing.
Was it meant to be in
clicks.
time? I didn't know if it was.
Yeah.
You were counting it
What,
in
we weren't.
musically.
What do you mean?
I didn't know if it was like
musically?
if you were just counting it in. You counted it in quite steady, so I thought, okay, maybe we stick to that timing for the 4 claps then.
Yeah, obviously that's how it works.
Okay, cool. I got it right then.
Hang on, you're a multi-award-winning producer, and you didn't realise that's what I was doing.
The big awards I didn't win, so I've been runner up for a lot of them, but never won.
You ain't got the big one. Well, what's big to you?
The Grammy was the one I really would like to win, but I think that ship sailed.
Why
now.
didn't you get a Grammy?
No, we didn't win.
Who won?
The first year, St. Vincent won for the best rock song, and then last year we were nominated for. Was it last year or this year? It might have been this year. I think it was this year. Was it February? Things were still happening in January, February, weren't they?
They were on their way out. But
So yeah, I think this year my mind is just a mess at the moment. So I think in January we were nominated for best album, but again we didn't win. So.
Was it what flat out best album?
No, best rock album, not best album. Sorry, definitely.
Is
not
that
best
even
album.
a thing with the Grammys? Best album ever.
They have best. The main best album is like hip hop, and then they have a second. They basically have 2 different ceremonies. They have like the ceremony for people for the ones that people care about, and then they have like another because there's loads of Grammys, like hundreds. So they have another. They have a ceremony earlier on So the main one is presented by Alicia Keys, but the ceremony that we go to, we go to both, but the ceremony that the Rock Award is in, is presented by Shaggy, and that's earlier on in the day. So we.
So rock is in the shit Grammys. I'm
Yeah.
not going to call them the shit Grammys.
No,
but
it's
you've
like-
just
it's
told
like
me that it's a shit Grammy and a good Grammy.
It's like lots of classical music, jazz. It's just anything that's more niche. That's like an earlier ceremony that's not televised, basically. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's still pretty cool. But yeah, you get Shaggy, and the main one gets Alicia Keys. So.
And who pipped you this
The
year?
first year was St. Vincent, and this year was. It was Cage the Elephant. Cage the Elephant won for best rock album. Yeah.
Wait, the Perfect Circle album?
No, Cage the Elephant, the band Cage the
Oh, I
Elephant.
literally just heard the word elephant. 'Cause
No.
it cut out a little bit then, and I was like, what? Eat the Elephant?
I think
That's the name of the Perfect Circle album, isn't it?
No, I haven't heard it, to be honest.
It's not Grammy award winning, I'll tell you that much.
Is it not? I didn't like I kind of stopped listening to them after that second album. They had the one that had cover. It was like a covers album, or it had a cover version or something.
That was the
Nurse,
third one.
something about a nurse.
Emotive.
No, I'm thinking of a nurse.
Nurse was on the second one.
I didn't like that second album either.
Didn't you? The production's fucking some of the best drum production I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, maybe I'd like. To be honest, I might like it if I gave it a spin again. I just remember Medanon was the one that I liked, and then and I don't.
And you're right. The Nurse song, I can't remember what it's called. The
Let's have
Nurse
a
song was a bit shit.
Let me have a look.
But that album fucking does rip, and the drum production on the song The Noose, in particular, my favourite kick and snare drum sound of all time.
It's coming back to me now. See, I remember this production as feeling a lot more sparse than the first album, so I didn't love it kind of sounded a little cold to me. I know it's very clean, but I liked the full sound of that first record.
I mean, yeah, Murder Nom's mix is fucking insane as well.
It's like lots of reverb, isn't it?
They did something crazy. I don't know if it's on Murder Noms, or actually it might be on whatever the 13th Steps, the second one, isn't it? I think they used a different mix for every song. I think on 13th Step.
I feel like I heard that, or at least I know they had different mixes for the singles. Is that a thing I remember? Like the singles sounded quite different or something? Like I think maybe that Weak and Powerless sounded quite different to the rest of the album. That kind of thing bothered me when I was younger. Different mixes, like for singles versus the album.
And now look at you. Now look at you.
Well, we don't do it. That's one thing. Like we've always retained having the same mixer do a whole album. Like a lot of bands.
Yeah, but
have
you got you got wacky songs.
Yeah, but we have the same.
I
mix.
mean that in the nicest possible. Like, yeah, I guess it's.
They're quite varied, but I mean, at least sonically, they're kind of. I mean, I don't know. They're kind of the same. To be honest, I'd probably hate our band if I was a fan of our band, because I was that like when I was younger, I hated it when bands changed, and we do that. You know, we've done that a lot. So.
Oh, with that we can go straight into this conversation now, because I actually, other than sort of vaguely knowing the guys from back in the day, didn't like Bring Me the Horizon until, I'm not going to fucking nosh you off too much, but until you put your fucking spin on things.
Yeah.
And that will be because we know each other from back in the day.
Yeah.
And you were always in really good bands.
First of all, that's absolutely not true. I've been in loads of shit bands when I was younger, and also for me, I feel like I like, as weird as it sounds, I like the Bring Me the Horizon before I was in the band more than not more than I do now, but like because I'm separated from it, I'm more appreciative of it than. It's almost like it's someone else's band, so I like it. I'm more of a fan of it than.
But that's more. That's more being, what's the fucking word? Like self-deprecating, probably. You probably, like many artists, do something, release it, and then think, well, that's a fucking giant, big, steaming pile of shit.
Yeah, a little bit. But also, I feel like I appreciate the type of music, like especially on the album just before I joined. I think there's some really good songs on that album, and they're really good to play live. So I'm always the one who's pushing to play those songs live, and basically, it's like a fight between me and our drummer. You know Matt, don't you? Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much a fight.
He doesn't want to play the old ones.
He doesn't want to play the old ones because they're just obviously crazy,
fucking
crazy
horrible
fast.
on drums.
And he's like, he doesn't play like that anymore. So it's like he basically doesn't. And because I feel like his standards of acceptable drumming have improved. So like he's so hard on himself if like even he makes like the tiniest little slip live that he doesn't want to like scruff his way through them. Whereas I'm like,
and those
I'm
old
like,
ones, the kick patterns are fucking really, really difficult.
yeah, they're basically unplayable unless you were like a real like someone who was, I don't know, constantly working on that kind of, you know, I don't even know what it is, just practicing double kick loads basically. So yeah, pretty much I'm more of a fan of the band before I was in the band. Although I can see why, you know, it's just different, isn't it? Just a different type different type of energy, but probably more the album before, like There Is a Hell, I think is.
Yeah, that's the one where I think people who were also in the scene, although massively eclipsed by Bring Me, like that was the one where they went, well, hang on, these have got hooks. There's hooks in here now.
Yeah,
it's not just the kick drum stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So then so I want to actually talk about this because I don't know the answer, and I don't know if you've ever talked about the answer. And I will relay what I heard happened, and then you'll tell me A, if that's true, B, if I'm allowed to have said that, and if I'm not, we'll delete it. And there was a C, but there was a C. Believe me, I've seen it, but I can't remember what it was. So you were in Worship, the band called Worship.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, right, yeah.
Who were from, I'm going to say
Newbury,
Berkshire.
Yeah, Newbury, really, yeah, where I'm from, yeah. So.
And I fucking loved Worship.
Oh, thanks.
It was, for anyone that doesn't know, it was basically sort of like Radiohead, but down the M4 a bit more.
Yeah, I would say it's like Radiohead, but with proper drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe like
a mixture of old and new Radiohead. Yeah,
with a bit, maybe slightly more rocky, you know, like slightly more gritty, like Mew meets Radiohead, maybe.
That's a good way of putting it.
I'd say proper drums hit hard, but still synths and stuff.
I remember seeing you at Sub 89. I can't remember if it was your own show or it was supporting someone or something.
It was supporting. It was supporting. Does It Offend You? Yeah.
That's who it was. Jesus. Yeah. And then the next thing I knew, you were in Bring Me Horizon. Now, obviously, that's not how that happened. But I heard this is what happened. I heard Ollie heard Worship and loved it and wanted to start a label just to sign you guys, and then eventually just went, do you want to just join my band?
I mean, sort of like that. I think he had the label idea was for a couple of other artists as well, that he was like, I think there was talk of Sony were going to give him like a label to like give him some money to start like a little subsidiary label.
Nice.
So then he came to our shows for ages, and he actually got us like 10 grand, and we basically were like, we didn't have anything really, you know what I mean? Like we didn't have, I think we might have had a manager, or we'd been through a couple of managers, but we didn't have any, there was no sign that we were going to make any money really. And they gave us some money to go and write some songs and stuff. And they did give us that money. We ended up getting screwed out of a little bit by the person who was managing us at the time. So it was a real thing that Sony were going to do. And then it was around the time that he was like going through his personal issues and going to rehab and all that stuff. So I think he had a break away from the band. And I remember that was when that idea got kind of mooted, because he was obviously away sorting that stuff out. And I was obviously wanted to, like, just from a purely selfish point of view, I was like, oh, I want my band to get signed. I didn't really know him that well. And then he just said, oh, do you want to, we're doing some stuff. Do you want to come and work on do you want to come and do some stuff with us on our music? And I was like, oh, I think I said yeah, but it was one of those, like, didn't think it was actually going to happen situation. I was like, yeah, man, that'd be cool. And then the next weekend he kind of said it again, followed it up, and was like, oh, do you still want to come up and do some stuff? And I was like, oh, fuck it, all right then, yeah, I'll come. When do you want to do it, kind of thing. It was one of them moments, because it's not really something I would normally do, like go. It's one of them things that you have to actually make a bit of effort to do, you know what I mean? And I think I was kind of imagining that I wouldn't bother. I don't know, that it just didn't seem like it was really going to happen. And then he kind of pushed it, and I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll give it a go. So yeah, I literally he said, oh, maybe this weekend. So I put my computer in my car and just drove up to Sheffield. I'd never even been to Sheffield before in my life. And I had met the other guys briefly. They'd been to a show in Manchester to see Worship. So yeah, I just went up and they were in the studio with Phil Gornell. Do you know Phil Gornell?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Phil.
they were in the studio with Phil Gornell demoing, like just working on some music they'd been writing. And then I sat there for like an hour and it was really awkward. And at that point I had that feeling of like, because Ollie kind of is quite like, he'll just do things without, he doesn't worry about what is the appropriate thing to do or like what people think. So he didn't really think about the fact that the others might think it was a bit weird that I was there, I think, or that I might feel a bit weird. So he was like, yeah, come up. And I was like, okay, cool. So I kind of sat there for a bit, and I think maybe I was just awkward because I'm quite awkward at first. And then he was like, yeah, well, do you want to go back to my house instead of like being here, and we'll just chill and write there? And I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, we just went back to his and set up. And then we just started pretty much like that day. He was like, we've got this it was like a little guitar demo, like guitar and drums and stuff. And we just started working on it. And he had lots of ideas, like loads and loads of ideas. So the first song was pretty much, he was just saying, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And I was like, okay, I can do that. You know, it was all stuff I could do. So it was, you know, it'd be like this section. It'd be cool if it kind of had this like kind of noise. And I was like, okay, cool. Try and make that sound. So I think for him it was like suddenly, you know, he was like,
do what he wanted.
Yeah, he was like, holy fuck, I can make whatever the fuck I want, basically. And for me it was like, this is quite not easy, but I didn't feel like, at first I was like, this is fun because I'm not worrying about, like, with my band we'd got ourselves, it wasn't that fun, you know what I mean? It was more like, it was a bit pretentious, and it was like everything was too cool. You know, there was loads of things that I felt like we couldn't do because they would be
very serious.
Yeah, it was very serious, and it was just like, you know, there was no randomness to it. And so obviously, like, writing with Ollie, and that was more, he just had this like more random, you know, I'm going to try doing this, and I just found it really fun. So at first I kind of felt like, oh, it's not my thing, but I'm enjoying it, and it's a little bit of extra money or whatever. So I'll come up every weekend, and they were paying me 200 quid per weekend. So like to come up to Sheffield and back down again. And I was like, sweet.
£200 for 2 days?
Yeah. I mean, that was just...
Wait. With petrol or just that?
It might have been... I can't remember if there was a bit of petrol on top.
Oh, fuck me.
No, this was...
Biggest fucking band going. 200 quid.
Well, bear in mind, I think that's probably what I asked for. I mean, at first it was really just like the story changes...
I'm so sorry.
I need to say the story changes quite quick. Very rapidly, I got more money than I'd ever had in my life from that session. So this was like weeks after, because I didn't really have any money. I had my studio in Newbury that I'd built up over like 5 years, but I didn't make any money off it. I just made enough to basically live. I had no savings, so I wasn't skint, but like, you know, I also had no money. With me and my wife were living in our friend's spare room, I think, at that point. So yeah, and then they did that for a couple of weekends, and then it moved to being slightly longer. So it was like 4 or 5 days a week. And then they kind of put me on, they started paying me monthly, you know, like a decent amount. And then it was almost like I was on, not a decent amount, but enough, you know. I'm not complaining about the money whatsoever. It was, at the time, I was just like, this is sweet. And I was happy. I would have done it for free because it was the biggest thing I'd ever done already, you know what I mean? The biggest artist I'd ever worked with, so.
Do you remember what that first song was?
The first one was was obviously Sempiternal. It was Snakes Start to Sing. It was kind of like I guess you'd call it like a dramatic rock kind of song. It was quite emotional song, but it wasn't my chords. It was something they'd already written. So it was more like, if you listen to the song, it's very production heavy, because obviously it was just like Ollie coming up with loads of ideas and me doing it. So there's a lot of like funny noises and shit like that. And then after a week or two, I think I said, I think we were talking over text, and he said, "Oh, if you've got, if you come up with stuff at home, if you have anything cool, send it over or whatever, something like that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, like that's a bit different." You know what I mean? Like that's a different level of. It's one thing for me
involvement.
to yeah, a little bit, because it was like I could write shit at home and send it through, and I didn't. I mean, a lot of people are very precious about their, bands and it was not like that at all. It was like he didn't give a shit about any of that kind of shit. I was like, oh, sweet, okay. So I sent a bunch of stuff through, and it was like, yeah, this is cool. We should work on this, and then it was like, from then on, it was just like we were all writing together, really. Me, Ollie, and Lee mostly, but everyone was kind of involved, and yeah, it would just happen really quickly from that point on. And then we started to get songs. We had like a bunch of demos, and then that was when the singing element came in, which was like he really wanted. We'd written a bunch of music, probably like 5 or 6 songs, and a lot of it was quite melodic. So I don't know how many of the songs off that Sempiternal that you would know, but the first song is called "Can You Feel My Heart." It's quite a melodic song, really. So I think he started to feel like, well, I mean, it was kind of obvious that it just screaming would just sound weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because it was so melodic.
From that album onwards, I'm pretty well versed with everything.
Yeah.
But like the early stuff. So like I'll probably know every song you're talking about from that album onwards. Maybe on the new one, I probably only know the singles that much.
So it was really, we were working on "Can You Feel My Heart," which is the first song on the album, and Ollie was like, I really want to sing, but he'd never sung melody before. He could only scream. So, and that was something he really pushed. He was like, I want to be able to sing melodies and stuff. So then that kind of the focus of a lot of it became that side of it, like how he could sing, and him learning how to like pitch his screams and all that kind of stuff, because he would admit he was like basically what you would call tone deaf. So you could sing a note to him and he wouldn't be able to sing it back. He obviously had good timing and stuff because he was so used to screaming, but all of his techniques and everything he'd learn't was screaming based, and he was not a natural singer in the sense that, some people can. I've always been able to like sing a bit, like I could, if you put something on in the car, I'd sing along and it'll be in tune ish, just naturally. He didn't have that. So yeah, the first thing was just really like a studio blag. We just tried, and he persevered. And to be honest, like without trying to suck his dick, like the hours we were putting in to try and just like get one chorus or one verse, or it was fucking actually sick in the head, to be honest. Like we would work for a whole day. I mean, like a 16-hour day on like a small section of vocals. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy.
Do you feel like he feels like he's got a lot to prove, because back in the day, there was like fucking, you either loved him or you hated him?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he has any chips.
I mean, like his work
shoulders.
ethic. Do you reckon he's like?
To be honest, I think it was purely motivated by musical. I think he just wanted to do it because he wanted to do it. I don't think it was to prove anyone wrong, or think he just thought it would sound really good. And usually the motivation is just making some sick music, as cliched as that sounds. And I think that's what it was like, oh, this, if I could sing on this, it would be awesome. It would sound way better, and we could. I think we both had the sense that, I mean, I felt like from my point of view, not knowing the band that well from before, like if we could pull it off and he could sing, then think how big this band could be, because they were already massive.
And they became fucking. You became stratospheric. That album is fucking insanely good, though.
Oh, thanks.
Like I just remember, because that is the first track, and all right, whose idea was the synth in that? Whatever that fucking noise is. What's the noise? Give me the scientific term.
That's kind of a chopped up vocal mix with the synth. It was probably Ollie's idea.
The thing that you play on the
It was probably Ollie's idea. to be honest. I mean, all of the pitched, choppy vocals and stuff, I hadn't really done much of that before. That was something he kind of like made that into a bit of a thing. So yeah, I guess that was probably his idea.
That's fucking cool. Let's get the him bit out of the way, because there'll be some people that just listen to this because they want to know about him. I've only met him once, maybe twice. The time that I met him, you might know about this. I burst into their dressing room with my mate, and I put my dick in my mate's mouth.
You didn't know. I don't know if I've heard a lot of dick in mouth stories about various people, so I can't remember that one in particular. But
there was someone on the tour package. I can't remember who it was.
What tour was this? Oh shit! I've just FaceTimed you.
Oh, you
Sorry.
just put hello.
Hi.
We're on video now.
How do you get out of this? Do I just leave it? I'll just leave it. Oh, camera off. There you go. I've got it. Swipe up and then go camera off.
Is that a thing? Oh, right, okay.
There you go.
Right.
Thank God.
Someone on the tour package, I can't remember what it was. I wasn't even on the tour. I just went to it. There was someone in one of the support bands, I can't remember, and there was some rumour that some guy was homophobic. And it wasn't any of Bring Me.
Suck a dick.
It wasn't. No, mine was the dick that was sucked.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't. Oh no, hang on. No, yeah, it was. I put my dick in my mate's mouth, completely flaccid, may I add.
Okay.
It wasn't actually like an.
You don't have to prove anything to me.
I mean, it's not even a proving
if you had a
thing.
semi, it's fine.
But there was, I can't really remember the specifics, but there was someone on the tour package that was rumoured to be homophobic, and I was like, what the fuck? In this day and age, you're going to be homophobic? So I just burst into the dressing room. It wasn't any of Bring Me's. It was just like someone in one of the support bands or something. It's probably just a nasty rumour. Anyway, I just burst in, put my dick in my mate's mouth.
What did your mate? Was your mate?
He 100%. I'm not just going around to fucking. Okay, yeah. Thank you for saving my cancellation there. No, it was a pre-planned thing between me and my friend to try and weed out who the homophobe was. But it obviously didn't work, and there was probably not even a homophobe there in the first place.
So you just did it for nothing.
Yeah, that is the lasting sort of impression that I made the first time I met any of those boys.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah. So he probably maybe he remembers me for that. Maybe he doesn't.
I don't know. But I'll have to ask.
Whose idea was it to? Anyway, off this bit about me. Whose idea was it to start playing that shit live?
Live?
The fucking noise from the song, and not just having it on track. The noise, all the little boingy noises that you do. I've got no technical terminology. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to try and play as much as I can. So, generally, the most leady sound is the one I'll try and play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's obviously the loudest. The issue is with our stuff is like, especially like that song. There's just so many sounds that it's like I physically can't play. Even, to be honest, I can't play like 20% of them.
Yeah, but you play a lot more than other bands that don't that have these sort of sounds.
I tell myself that I sing a little bit, so that's like my kind of like get out of jail free card. Is like, well, I do backing vocals, so at least I've got that.
You do hit the pads.
I have a big drum.
That was the moment where I was like, oh, they're like playing quite a lot of this live. That's cool, because I assumed it would all be on track.
Yeah. Well, I'll do my best.
To the production a little bit. You do have a big drum. You have a big Tama drum, do you not?
I do, yeah. Both endorsed by the same company. Mine is sort of by proxy, obviously, because Matt's our drummer's on Tama, same as you. Is that right?
Yeah, loved it when he went to Tama.
Shout out to Bushy.
Shout
out to Bushy.
They'll love that.
I'm terrible. I'm the worst drummer in the world, and that's not even a lie. I can't physically. My left hand is. I can't physically even do like a basic. I'm basically terrible at drums, so it's embarrassing that I've even got a drum, but whatever. It's there. It's fun to hit it every so often.
As long as you're in time and you give it a little hit.
That's the problem. I'm not in time.
Oh, okay. Well, put it on track. Right, let's stay on subject. So you're by this point they are paying you a bit more, and you start writing stuff.
So I'm doing a bit of writing, but I'm not in the band. So then, and worship is still, I'm still in worship basically, which is my other band. And then we'd had a couple of tours. We'd been offered a tour in worship, and there was a big debate about whether we could do it. And the singer at the time was like, "Oh, I've got work," and I was running my studio, but I was down to do whatever. I was like, I just want to tour. I want to try and make the band work. So I would have dropped anything to do the band kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we'd had this slight kind of issue where I was like, I kind of was feeling like, well, what's the point if we get these things come in and it's like 50-50 about whether we're going to take them or not? I was like, well, your heart's obviously not in it, which is fine because we were a little bit older. I was 24 or 25 at the time. So yeah, this thing came up, and then I pretty much just said, I kind of had a feeling. It's weird when you're kind of like first starting with a band, because it was like almost like a little like beginning of a relationship, like courting, yeah. So I had the feeling like they would want me to join the band, but it was kind of like, well, you're already in a band kind of thing. So you wouldn't want to be in this band. So that kind of vibe anyway. And I was just like, oh, fuck this. So I just said, I'm not going to do this band anymore.
Yeah, innit? Like, who's not quitting their band to be Bring Me the Horizon?
Exactly. It was a no-brainer. And the thing is, I was enjoying it so much, the writing process and all that stuff. And I was getting on so well with all the guys. And to be honest, in particular, Ollie, like I just got on really well with him. So I was just like, this is a writing partnership that I'm like really super enjoying, so just going to stick with it. So I just stopped doing my band, and then it was like, then as we got nearer the end of the process and we had almost the full album, there was talk about who we're going to use to produce it, and I was involved in all these conversations, which is again strange because it was like I was in the band, you know. My opinion was obviously like being kind of asked and stuff. So then we decided to Terry date, because of like his work with Deftones and Pantera. So then Terry came over to the UK right near the end of the process, and around that time I was kind of like, you know, am I coming to the studio, because there's like a whole 2 months booked in the studio, like, do you want me there? And it was like, yeah, if you want to. That was like the vibe, like, yeah, if you want to come. And I was like, well, yeah, of course I do. So I just kind of, to be honest, I didn't really get like invited into the band. I just I don't know. It was weird.
You
it
just
like
fell
happened.
into it. I mean, that's like most relationships as well anyway, isn't it? You sort of get to know each other, you fuck a little bit, and then you're like, you want to not fuck anyone else?
Yeah, that was it, exactly. And then, except we haven't fucked.
I mean, the hypothetical.
Yeah,
not even hypothetical is the wrong word. The metaphorical
fucking. Yeah.
Yeah. Musical fucking.
So then when the album came out, it was then our guitarist left, which was another big thing. So they had another guitarist called Jonah before I was in the band. Did you know him? Australian dude.
Yes, I did know him.
So
I do know him, I guess.
Their relationship with him kind of broke down, or had broken down, and that kind of reached a head when around the time we were recording Sempiternal. So that whole dynamic was going on, which, to be fair, I wasn't really involved in because I didn't know the dude that well. I'd seen a little bit of him and stuff, but like that kind of happened. That was more between them and him. But then when I was announced in the band, which I guess is when I technically joined the band, they just put out a press statement that said, "Bring Me the Horizon is Ollie Sykes, Matt Nichols, Matt Keane, Lee Malia, and Jordan Fish. Jonah Weinhoffen is no longer in the band." That was all it said. So obviously it just looked like, for all the fans, were just like, well, who the fuck is this? And it basically, because obviously I'm a keyboard player, basically, technically, it's like they've sacked a guitarist and replaced him with a keyboard player, and who the fuck is he? So a lot of the fans
Do they know by now? Do the fans know by now how much you've fucking done? Or do they blame you?
It's a mixture. To be honest, it's a mixture of either people giving me too much credit or hating me for ruining the band, which again is too much credit because I haven't done either. So I sometimes feel embarrassed when people give me all the credit for like the change of the band, because it's just not true at all.
That's interesting, because I thought that as well.
A lot of people do, but it's not the case at all. I think I helped facilitate the change, but I'm not going to come into someone's band and change the sound. You know what I mean? It's not. I mean, for the first year at least, I didn't feel like I had any say in which direction the band were taking. It was definitely. I mean, it's mostly led by Ollie. He's the creative director of the band, I would say, in terms of like what vibe we're going in and stuff. And even now, that's really still the way, I would say. It's more just like he'll have a vibe of what he wants to do, and I'll be like, okay, I'll be thinking more of like the literal way that's going to be made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he'll have more conceptual ideas of like, I want to do something like, I think we should do something like this or like this, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'll start thinking about what kind of actual music that would be and how I would make it and stuff. And then that.
I imagine. Sorry, carry on.
That's all right. It's fine. You hit me.
No, mine is pointless. So you just go.
Well, I can't remember what I was going to say now. So.
Right, I was just going to say. I imagine that's how he probably is with his clothing thing as well.
Right.
Like, he probably just has the ideas, doesn't know how to physically do the thread, and then just get someone else. Do you know how to do this?
Well, I think at the beginning he was photoshopping the designs, and he still does. To be honest, I don't know much about Drop Dead at all, really.
Just get him to fucking send me some shit. He was going to send me some shit, not him, whoever worked there, and then that person got fired, I think, just before that Cradle of Filth drop. I was like, come on.
You'll have to get him on the podcast and ask him yourself.
This is the thing, right? I didn't even want to ask you, because obviously, if anyone doesn't know, we've known each other for quite a long time, and until I had a minor mental breakdown, we would play FIFA in a lockdown FIFA Cup, which is still going on.
It's not.
Is it scrapped?
I think it's fair to say it's finished now. We had a good run.
Did everyone just start rage quitting and stuff?
Well, the last league finished, and then nobody has sent a message since. So I think Ali and Sam from Architects quit, and then Brian from Paris quit. Ross from the 1975 stopped talking. And didn't play 4 or 5 of his games in a row, and then he played me once, and I beat him 8-1, and then he never was seen again. So we've lost a lot of people in the last few weeks. So I'm pretty sure it's finished. It's great. It was good while it lasted.
It was great. I just had a moment of like, I've got fucking like serious insomnia struggles, and they just sort of came about towards the third league, and I was like, I was just getting beaten like 10-0 because I hadn't slept in days. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
This ruins my day even more. I can't even remember what my point was. I had a point.
We were talking about. Let me trace the thought process. We were talking about people thinking that I do all the force the change in Bring Me the Horizon, and how people either give me too much credit or give me too much shit for it.
And then
like I said, I think the change is definitely not all me. Obviously, I'm not the driving creative force behind the band. So I have a part in it, but I'm not the one going, you know, we need to be this or we need to be that. I'm just there to try and make the music as sick as possible. Really, that's as dumb as that sounds. That's literally all I'm trying to do. So there's that, and then
because I started talking about Drop Dead.
You started talking about your
FIFA
insomnia and Drop Dead. Yeah,
I don't know why I talked about that.
That's fine.
I can't remember. I really had a point. This is how unprofessional the podcast is. I had a real good point. I mean, I think I had a good point. How did I get onto the FIFA thing? Oh, no, I didn't want you... No, it's a side note. I didn't want to ask you, because we've known each other a while, but your band is... Other than V-Man, I mean, probably around... arguably the same, if not bigger, like...
Than Slipknot? Absolutely not.
In different genres, though.
Absolutely
You're like a pop band now. But, do you know what I mean? It's like, I hate calling in that favour. So what I do with my friends that are in ginormous bands, I just wait until there's a hint. And then the other day you sort of hinted, and I was like, okay, come on the podcast, please. So I'm certainly not cold calling fucking Ollie or anyone else. I just hate doing the fucking...
That must have been... I'm surprised you didn't ask Matt first, being a drummer. I think
that the thing. Everyone thinks
for your audience, I think
podcast.
They'll be disappointed. It's called the Downbeat.
Yeah, but that's just do you know what? Honestly,
it's a drum phrase.
Yeah, but do you know what? Honestly, it was originally I wanted a phrase or a word that encapsulated the fact that I am almost always massively depressed, and also something vaguely to do with my career. And
So
there you
found
have
double meaning.
Downbeat, because I'm often quite downbeat.
I get it, yeah.
And to do with drums.
You don't seem like a downbeat person. I don't get that vibe.
It's very much, I will only post content or do podcasts when I'm on the upswing.
That's why you come across as more mental than downbeat.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
There's definitely an upbeat. Everyone really only sees the upbeat, you know. But it's not really a drum podcast. It started because I did do a few drummers at the start, and there is, you know, I'm a drummer and I know more drummers than anything. But all of the most listened to episodes are non-drummers. The drummer episodes get fuck all listens.
I apologise for making presumptions of your podcast.
No, it's fine.
I know you don't exclusively have drummers.
I'm only coming in hot on that because people will be listening to this, and it's starting to annoy me, because I'll get like, you should get this guy on your podcast, and it's like some fucking YouTube drummer. I'm like, what am I going to talk to him about? Like, how many fucking megabytes of RAM have you got? Like, no shade on YouTube drummers, but like, no.
What's a YouTube drummer? Someone who just does covers then?
Just exclusively does covers, which is again fine, but I couldn't talk an hour and a half with them about that.
No, it's not that interesting, is it? You should get Nichols, because he's got endless stories about everything. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met.
And I would definitely love him to come on here. But I will never ask him.
Okay, I hope maybe he'll listen to this.
If people ask me, I'll do it. Or if they even hint, I'll do it. But I just hate the like, hey, I've got this podcast. I'd love it if you'd come on it. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you're never going to get anyone on there then, are you? Other than me and V-Man.
Well,
you have to start being a bit more bold.
Nah, I have done a few where I've been bold and sort of got it out there, and the people have said yeah. But then because
have you had any knockbacks? Any no's?
Actually, from a couple of drummers. There's a girl drummer called Annika Niles who's phenomenal, like one of the best drummers in the world. And like, I know her. We've had drinks together, like at like a Minor Symbols event and stuff. Like we're on speaking terms. Messaged her about it. Ghosted me. A real ghosting, a scene, not even a sorry, can't do it. And then, but I had people say yeah that I never thought would say yeah. So like, I think Mike Mangini from Dream Theater said yeah, and then I couldn't do it. But if I do the cold calling, even if it's with a friend, I can't be sure they really want to do it. So
who cares?
No, so then it becomes a chore to like, I mean,
I probably wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't mentioned it. It's one of them things I'm like, oh, I'm scared. I was nervous. I get nervous for this kind of shit, to be honest. So it's like, you've got to ask. And then it's like, when you do it, it's like, oh, it wasn't so bad, actually.
But there's also like, I know you, so I know the conversation would be good. Like already, we're like 40 minutes in. I think enough information has been shared for it not to be shit. Like now we've
covered the first 6 months of my time in the band.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's fine.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot more to come.
So moving swiftly on then. So you do that. You're in the band now. Album comes out.
Album comes out. Well, this is the thing. So we went on tour. Our first tour was Soundwave in 2013, and at that point I was like I was in the band. So
that was my first tour. Oh my god, what a fucking amazing!
That was my first tour. I was scared of flying. I had like a phobia of flying. So I hadn't flown. This is so crazy, but I hadn't flown for like years and years because I had this like major phobia of flying, and I'd had like hypnotherapy like multiple times and all this shit.
Like a serious fear, not just some
serious phobia. Like I'd like avoided going on holiday, and like I'd drive on holiday and shit. I was that scared of flying. It was crazy. And then obviously like I joined the band and it was like, the first things in Australia. So I was like, oh fuck. So I just got loads of Valium basically and just got so fucked basically, like on Valium, that I was just like, I basically passed myself out pretty much.
Nice.
For the whole 24-hour flight to Australia. And then for the first year, I had to fly with like loads of Valium and booze basically to get through it because I was still nervous. So yeah, that was my first experience with Soundwave. It was just fucking absolutely crazy.
Different hotel every day. Fucking
hotels,
great show. Flying between shows. Coming straight in at the top.
I'd never been to Australia,
and
obviously.
It was in January, obviously, so it would have been
lovely weather.
Love it.
And I met loads of, I look back now, I actually met loads of characters that I still like know, which is quite crazy. Like at the time, I didn't know any bands from like, I guess you'd call it the scene, the kind of Warped Tour scene. I wasn't my world, so I didn't know any of these people. So like we did side waves, I think they were called, or like side shows basically with like Chariot and Pierce the Veil.
Oh.
And I'm still good friends with Stevus from Chariot because he's in FIFA now.
Right.
I wouldn't say I'm good friends with Pierce the Veil, but there were so many bands like on that, like A Day to Remember. I remember they were on that, I think, and I didn't know who these bands were, to be honest. But yeah, it was really cool first touring experience doing that show. I remember the stage set on fire, like in my second show. We played out, I think it might have been Adelaide or something, and someone chucked a flare and it caught the top of the stage and was dripping, all this plastic was dripping off the top of the stage. They stopped the stage was on fire. They stopped the show for like 10 minutes and someone sprayed a fire extinguisher up from the stage, up to the top and put it out. And then they just carried on going. Bonkers. It wouldn't happen nowadays.
It definitely won't, that festival. I think the guy... Didn't the guy book a year and then did not pay anyone or some shit? I can't remember. We
were booked on that last one that didn't happen, so we'll get onto that anyway. But yeah, so that was my first tour, and then while we were out there,
are we getting the Jordan Fish discography? Are we getting the history line?
Well, once that first part's over, it basically we just settle into just normal. It stopped being exciting, so the rest of it's just normal. But yeah, this bit is interesting because our album leaked while we were there. So this was my first tour. And obviously I'd been working like 4 months on this album.
And you left Napster running at home, LimeWire.
I didn't. Don't blame me. It actually was, we went to France like a couple of weeks prior to that. And we were doing like a promo. And I was super paranoid about shit leaking. So I was always giving our management a hard time saying like, don't give out CDs and be super careful with streams and all this shit. And we got there. And one of the kids who was interviewing us, it was me and Ol, he had like a CD and he said, can you sign this for me? And it said Shadow Moses. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like to the guy, and he's like, oh, it's like a promo album we give out. And I was like, you're not meant to be giving out CDs to people. Like the album's not out for 2 months. And he was like, oh, it's okay. We only gave out like 10, 11 CDs. That's my French accent.
Yeah.
And
I was just going to check that was French. But we're good.
It's French, yeah.
We're good.
Is it bad?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely French. And I was like, okay, well, 10, 11 CDs, that's not so bad, but can we like chase them and get them back? Because obviously if someone puts it online, then...
Who the fuck was doing this?
This is our French press people in Sony French... So anyway, we got back. We emailed our management when we were on the Eurostar on the way back. We were like, this isn't good. And they said, oh, we've just chased it down. There's 76 CDs have gone out to the press. So then we sent this massive email back to them. We were like, our album is going to fucking leak, basically, because of this.
How many months before it's supposed to come out? Or weeks or
2
whatever?
months before. 2 months before.
Oh, my God.
So 76 CDs have gone out in Paris 2 months before. And we're like, our album's going to fucking leak. So... 2 weeks later, we're in Australia doing Soundwave, and the album leaks online. So it's probably about seven weeks ahead of release, pretty much. So way, way early. It was meant to come out, I think it was meant to come out May the 24th. Oh, no, I can't remember. But anyway, it leaked way early. And it was just a total fucking nightmare. So in the end, we kind of rushed the release early, and we put it online. It was like... we didn't really know what we were doing, so we put it online to stream, and then released it early, and it still went to number 3 in the charts, which obviously was quite good. It was more than the band had ever charted before, a lot more. And I think maybe in hindsight it might have actually helped a little bit in a weird way, because it was so different that at first people were like, "Oh, is this actually their album?" kind of thing.
Yeah, and you might have
what I mean?
had people actually who didn't like Bring Me Before, who heard the leaked one and was like, "Fuck, this is actually really sick. I'm going to buy it."
Yeah, exactly. And I think the question mark of it, like, is this real or is it fake? Because some people were like, "Oh, it doesn't. It almost sounds like them, but it sounds so different at the same time." So yeah, it still did well. And then for that whole cycle was just, we had Warped Tour then, which is where I really got to know like Architects lads. That was June of that year, so it was only, yeah, good boys. Only like a couple of months after that. That was Architects, Let Live, Us. Who else was on that tour? Fuck.
So
Chariot.
still touring with heavy bands. I mean, Sempiternal's so fucking heavy, and even That's the Spirit's got some heavy shit on it. But now,
yeah, I mean, we'd still tour with heavy bands now if we could.
Are you gonna tour with? What was your last?
I mean,
tour?
to be
What
honest,
was your last tour?
we pretty much just we was Poppy, and I mean, I can't remember, to be honest. Our last American tour was Poppy and Sleeping with Sirens. So I mean,
you got some.
I mean, that's
distortion
a bit of an old school. That's a bit of an old. To be honest, we tend to kind of avoid like bands from that Warped Tour scene for our support. So usually our bills are quite weird, because we're trying to like do anything but bands from our, what you would call like our original scene. But
well, that's what I mean, because it just wouldn't
our-
make sense now playing stuff off Ammo, and then you've got fucking, I don't know, some metalcore band supporting. Especially if
Yeah,
you're
but
saying
why
you
not?
don't. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see it, but I don't know.
we still do. I mean, I guess the closest thing, I can't even remember we haven't toured UK for ages as well, so that doesn't help. But we did Fever and Yonica. That was another one. Fever are kind of heavy-ish. They're not a metal band, but they're like, I don't know what you'd call them, like punk-ish band. But yeah, I don't think we would tour. I don't think we would probably tour with a metalcore band, unless it was like, there's a bunch that Ollie's into, so maybe one of them. I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter. I think most people who come to our shows are open to whatever, aren't they?
You guys still, I mean, it'd have to be. You still pick the supports? Is it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And it's like just whatever you're into, or like, I want to help this band, or a bit of both, or people that you're friends with?
We're still picking supports, but partly based on like ticket worth. If we're trying to do a venue, which is, there's still venues that we're playing that, are a reach for us, for example. So
before anyone takes that out of context, that's how every single band on earth picks a fucking tour. You need to think about who you want to take, but then you also need to think about they need to sell this many tickets. Just before anyone goes,
it's a mixture.
Jordan Fish says he'll only take a band on tour if they can sell a lot of tickets. Like, because people don't know what happens.
To some extent, it is true. That obviously, like, if a band is if you're trying to play a venue that's 15,000 capacity, for example, and the booking agent estimates that we can pull 8,000 tickets, then you have to decide: do we want to,
You'd be surprised
play
though,
to a half-empty venue, or do we try and fill it out and get another big support? Obviously,
people don't know that. Guaranteed, some people listening to this, that will be the first time they know that. Okay,
well, they do now. But it's a mixture. Obviously, it's not as simple as that, because there's obviously there's so many other factors. It's like trying to find a bill that all works together, and trying to find stuff that complements like what we're doing at the time, music wise or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends what music we're doing and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It is a tricky one. There's a bunch of bands that we actually supported A Day to Remember at the end of That's the Spirit cycle in America. We supported A Day to Remember, which is the only support tour that we've done, and that was a good tour. So they're a band who I'd play with, A Day to Remember. They're kind of from this. They're a scene band, but I like them.
How good is it though when you've been
guys.
headlining for ages and then you get to do a main support?
Oh, it's amazing. We supported Baby Metal last year in Japan. Fucking hell, it was amazing.
Innit? You're on
Half an
early.
hour.
You play fuck all. There's no pressure because then everyone's there to see the other band, and then you can have a couple of drinks and maybe even have dinner at a normal fucking time.
Exactly. You still get to bed by 11:30. Brilliant. Have a shower. Everything.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was bonkers. And they're quite the whole thing in Japan is very different. Like their culture is just weird
It's the best
and
place on
amazing
earth.
compared to what we like in terms of like how they treat foreign bands. Though it's they do loads of stuff differently. So we had like mad production, like full. We basically had a production that you could go into like headline Wembley Arena with. They gave us that as a support, and they have no reason to do that. Like we can probably pull 2,000 people in Japan. We're not big there at all. So I think just because we're a bigger band elsewhere, they like treat you like with way more respect than stuff like that. So it was really cool.
Even at our level, where we're only doing sort of like 500 kids max in Japan, but like you'll get there and all your gear is already set up. You haven't had to bring anything, but someone like in-house has researched your cymbal and drum setup and set it all up exactly the way that you do it. Like that doesn't happen. Yeah. It's so fucking
I think
cool.
so. I heard someone telling a story about like that one of them festivals last year. Someone's like kick drum was sliding forward as they were playing, and one of the in-house guys like laid down in front of it for the whole show to stop it from moving.
I can believe it. The
Because
level
like,
of in-house
that was the only
sound
thing
guy
they could
as
think
well.
of.
Because we never take a sound guy with us to Japan just to try and save some money as
Yeah.
like mid-level band, and the level of in-house monitor guy is like they're just amazing. Attention to detail.
I don't think so. You have different monitor. You don't take a monitor guy.
Oh no, we are a punk band. We don't have that.
How many? What's your crew then? It's 2.
We have sound guy, merch guy, and photographer who, shout out Gabe, shout out Mikey, shout out Ronnie. But our photographer sort of turns into a stage manager if things get a little bit hectic. But that's about it. Yeah, we don't.
And then do you have any techs? You just tech for yourself?
No, tech for myself. I had, in fact, on our last headline run, I had a drum tech. Shout out Josh. And that was the best thing that's ever fucking happened in my life ever.
Yeah, just rock up and play.
It was just, that's the first time it's ever happened. The second time I filled in for Def Havana for a bit. But that was the first time I've had my own one. Fucking glorious.
Yeah, so our crew is like massive, basically, pretty much these days, especially at the moment.
Band.
It's since we introduced dancers that the crew's got ridiculously big because there's 4 of them as well. And they travel everywhere with us at the moment. So
how many buses you got? What are you working with?
We haven't done a bus tour for ages, but I think last time it was 3.
Wait, what's above bus tour?
I just mean like the last few things we've done have been fly tours.
Okay.
No, nothing fancy. I just like we did Japan, and obviously there's no bus.
Yeah.
It was just hotels and flights. So the last bus tour we did was America in October, like maybe September, October last year. I think it was 3 at that point. So we have one which is banned pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we had like an assistant on there or something. There was like 7 or 8 of us on there, and then we have one which is like pretty much all of our like actual crew, like our main crew who stay with us all the time. And then there was one which was more like people who I don't know kind of thing. Like obviously there's like people, I guess there's people doing the video walls and staging shit and all that kind of shit.
The big production shit.
More the production kind of stuff, yeah. So I don't think we always have 3. I think sometimes we can get into 2,
and
depending on what.
Your current touring guitarist, if anyone doesn't know, John Jones, was in Viatchfi with me back in the day.
Shout out to John Jones. Congratulations, John Jones, on the birth of his child yesterday.
What? I didn't know that.
The day before. There you go. You know now. He put it on his Instagram. He's had a baby.
Happy fucking birthday to that little kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Cool,
but yeah, he used to play in Viatchfi for the longest time. And then I used to play in a band, the Seventh Cross, before Viatchfi with him. And then he was the drum tech for Bring Me the Horizon. And then he became the touring guitarist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he was, when I joined the band, JJ was the drum tech for years.
I love JJ.
Yeah. He's a great man, isn't he?
Just a fucking
great guitarist as well.
Amazing.
And a great drummer.
Oh yeah, annoying.
Yeah.
Annoyingly.
And he's actually he can play piano as well, which is like quite annoying for me because I'm not like, obviously I have a piano, like a keyboard on stage, and like if he comes over and plays on it, he'll like play some like real music, and it's like really embarrassing because obviously I can't play at all. So, and he
You
just
really
shreds.
are self-deprecating.
No, that's the truth. I can't play piano. It's the actual truth.
Right,
To be
so
honest
that
with you, I can't
album's
play
out.
piano.
It's a smash hit. The fans,
Mm.
I'm setting the scene. The fans are on your side now, are they? Or are they still annoyed?
Pretty much. Yeah, I think pretty much. Yeah. I mean, there's always some people that just like prefer, don't like the progression or prefer the heavy stuff. I don't really know, to be honest, what the zeitgeist of the fans and how much they like me is. So I don't think most of them probably don't care.
Do you write any lyrics, or
But-
does Ollie write all the lyrics?
No, hell no. That's not in my
Ollie
brain. He
does
writes all the lyrics.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's a clever little man,
Yeah.
isn't he?
The only thing I would do is like sometimes I'll like say if I think of the flow of a lyric could be better, like if I feel like it doesn't fit well with the melody we've written, and then he'll either be like, yeah, I see what you mean, and he'll try and change it, find another way to make it work, or he'll be like, no, I think that I can deliver that fine, and then that's that.
I
So
think
yeah, pretty much just him. So usually we'll map out melodies, like we'll figure out melodies just with gibberish, and then he'll kind of at some point he'll be like, I've got a bit of an idea, and then just go from there, and then we'll try it out, and it's kind of a back and forth process. But yeah, I don't do any lyrics at all.
all right, so I'm still setting the scene. All that shit's done. You've done that album,
Mm-hmm.
smash hit. You pip. No, there's no Grammy nomination by this point. No.
No Grammy nomination. What did we win? We might have won a Kerrang award, maybe.
And then you got to do the follow-up, the difficult Jordan Fish.
Well, that cycle finished with our Wembley show. That was like the round off for that for the Sempiternal album cycle. So we had like our, as bands do when they reach that kind of level, we had like our one-off big Wembley show.
Just joined a band playing Wembley.
Well, 2 years. It was a long cycle. So that was like
still
pretty
counts.
much 2 years since I started. But yeah, Wembley, which is a DVD. You can watch that back. So yeah, that was the end of the cycle.
Mixed
then
by Ramesh. Excellent mix.
Mixed by Ramesh, who came back to then, obviously, we brought him back eventually to record Ammo. He recorded Ammo, engineered Ammo.
Where did you record that? We'll get onto that, but I just want to know.
Yeah, we'll get there. In LA.
Oh, flew him out.
Yeah.
Great mixer.
Yeah, we flew him out. Yeah.
Great engineer
he's a
as well.
great dude as well.
Yeah, good guy.
So yeah, that finished. Then we just went and wrote That's the Spirit. So that was we finished that in December, and then we recorded That's the Spirit in the first few months of 2013, 14, 15, I guess.
Anything different?
And then
You
it ended-
swinging that big musical dick by this point? Like, yo, what up? This is
Not-
what we're doing now.
No, not really. It was just more, maybe a bit more. Some stuff was beginning more with like synth than would have been on Sempiternal, some song ideas, but really not much of a difference, to be honest. It was just Ollie was a much better singer because he'd been performing those songs for a couple of years, so we had that to work with, where he was a much more capable singer. And then, yeah, I think I don't know. We'd already released Drown as a single, and that would have been probably our biggest song. So we kind of bounced off that, and we were like, right, let's keep going, and we put that on the album in the end.
That
So,
song doesn't sound like it belongs on that album.
No, it's because it didn't, but
Interesting.
it was our biggest song. So we originally weren't going to put it on that album, and
It
then
was
we
just
kind of
in
thought about
between,
it.
like a single in between.
It was a single for Wembley. It was a single to help. We was like, oh, we need a big song to play at Wembley. It was weird that whole time because like everything we did worked out perfectly, which doesn't happen anymore. But like, it was like, right, we need to write a big arena-y song for Wembley to play at Wembley, and we wrote it, and it was immediately like our biggest song by far. So I think we might have even played it last at Wembley. I'm not sure, but it was exactly what we had intended it to be, kind of thing. So initially it wasn't meant to be on the album, and then I think at some point during the recording process, Ollie was like, oh, I think it would be, if you look back on our albums, it'll be a shame if it's not on one of them because it's such a big song of our band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then when I thought about it like that, I thought, well, that's actually true. It would be weird for it just to be a standalone single, but to have never been on an album.
Were you
'Cause obviously at
initially
that point-
like, look, this doesn't fit the vibe?
I didn't want it to be on there, and he had not wanted it to be on there either. But
it had
then,
to be.
I don't think it doesn't fit the vibe. It's just a bit more emotion. I know what you mean, but at the same time,
I'm just saying it's. I always think that song is from Sempiternal.
Sempiternal era. It's more in between, isn't it? I can hear that. Yeah, but I'd never actually really thought about it, to be honest. But yeah, I can hear that.
Did you re-record it, or did you just slap the song on?
We did re-record. We recorded the drums and the guitars, and we tried to re-record some vocals, but we couldn't. It was mic demo-itis. We couldn't get the vibe back. So
we do the same thing in between every album. We do a single, and then it gets to the album, and we're like, it's got to be on the album. But then we try and change something. But then when we change it, out of principle, it's not as good. It's that the people that like the original go fucking mental. Like we had the song "The House Always Wins," about the 2016 election, obviously about Hillary Trump, and despite what the internet says, our opinion was that we're both fucked either way. And we were like, by the time the next album was coming out, it's like, well, that's already happened, but the song needs to go on an album. So we got a second verse, and we got the rapper Vinny Paz in to do the second verse, and he fucking smashed it. And people went mental, like, you ruined the fucking song. But it's like, we needed to change.
They were mad about it.
So mad. And it's maybe my favourite part.
But they can just listen to the other one.
Exactly. That one still exists.
Yeah.
It's not.
You can't have that argument with people, can you?
Oh, you really can't. The old stuff still existing argument is crazy. Like, people just expect, well, hang on, you're not exactly what I want right now. I feel personally attacked by that.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Right, so that's the spirit. You record it very.
So
much
we put that on there. We wrote it at Ollie's house in Sheffield, and then we went to Santorini. So they said, "Where do you want to go to record it?" So we just literally we just Googled like the best studios in the world, and that one came up as like the most amazing studio, and it was like, "Oh, could we go here?" And they said, "Yeah, okay, we'll see how much it is," and it was within the budget or whatever, because we're on Sony, so the recording budgets are.
Go on.
Well, they're quite high. I guess they're quite high. I don't know.
Can you give me a number? You don't know.
There is no number. That's the thing. There isn't like a...
Infinite. That's what I wanted.
That's not what I mean. I just mean like, I think if you took the piss, at the end of the day, we've got to pay it back. So
I've read between the lines. Like, infinite. Sony Infinite.
I mean, I could give you a ballpark figure for how much an album cost us, but I don't. We're relatively cheap, to be honest.
Santorini, best studio in the world, relatively cheap. Although I guess there's some pop artists
it's not
that just
the best studio in the
fuck.
This is the thing, okay? We went out there there was the band, our personal trainer, which is admittedly a bit of a luxury, but he was very cheap at the time.
Sick.
And it was good because I was not in good shape, and I came out of it in much better shape. And then we had an engineer that we took out, and that was it. So 7 of us went out to Santorini for 2 months. That was it. So which for a band like us is relatively... There's no other producer on That's the Spirit. Me and Ollie produced the album. I did all the drum editing. I did all the bass and guitar editing. I comped and recorded the vocals. It's all DIY album. So other than the cost of the studio, there was no other cost for our... there was no other peripheral costs for our label. That was it. So, it isn't that much money in the grand scheme of things because we do so much stuff ourselves, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was no production team. There was no co-writers. There was nothing. It was just us. And really, that was the same with Sempiternal. Even though we had Terry Date there, he didn't produce the album in the sense that he made no suggestions on the music whatsoever. Not one, I don't think. He just recorded the music. I recorded the vocals with Ollie. We did the synths. He recorded the guitars and drums and the bass based on the guide parts that we'd already worked out. And then he gave it all to me. I put it all together and I gave it to the mixer. And that's the same way we worked. That's the Spirit is when we brought Dan Lancaster on board, who's the mixer who we've worked with ever since. So yeah, that was totally DIY album, really, which is quite crazy. That's the first album I ever produced. That's the Spirit.
Wow.
Yeah, which is sold over 1 million albums, that record, without me to show off. But I think that's quite fucking mental, really.
It's really fucking good.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's definitely the one where I was like, okay, I liked songs on Sempiternal, but on that one, I was like, oh, I like Bring Me the Horizon.
I still feel like some of it's a bit crap when I look back. Though,
What do you think's crap?
There's like some of it I think is really good, but there's some songs that I'm
let's
not
have a
so
fight
keen
about
on.
your own music. What do you think's crap? I'm pulling it up.
I don't love the song "Run," which is like it's like that 7th or 8th song where you've like run out of ideas a bit. Do you get them on your albums?
Hang on, I'm really bad at names. So
you wouldn't remember that song because it's just the filler one on that album. It's okay, but it's just a shame that there wasn't something better. It's not that good.
No, I like that song. It's got the weird noises at the beginning. I really like that song.
Yeah, that's just not my favourite personally. But there's always things you look back on and think...
It's got a good vibe though, and it's before Drown, and it's after Avalanche. Nah, it's good. You're wrong. Next.
Avalanche is a song I like.
Yeah. I don't think there's a bad song on it.
Blasphemy is pretty old school. It's got a hint of like a bit of a kind of like...
What, as in you
pub
don't like
rock
it?
vibe. No, I don't not like it. I'm just saying like it's a bit... Is that the... It's not a vibe I would want to put on a song now. It's a bit of a... It's a bit like
you got hell to pay.
Yeah,
baby.
Exactly.
Still good though.
I don't hate it. It just has aged compared to what I would think
say
of as our band now.
Is the weakest one on there, but even then, not even weak. Weak is bad. I couldn't fucking write anything that good. I would say that's my least favourite. But like
True Friends, I like True Friends, but maybe that one is not my favourite.
Oh, hang on.
It's got a bit of a Bullet for My Valentine vibe.
Yeah, but it's
a bit of an orchestral metal vibe, which is again one that
but that's
I wouldn't. I don't want to slag off the album. I love the album.
I mean, you're slagging it off.
It's not
You're
bad.
offending me, and I didn't even write it.
I'm just saying it's not. I don't think it's like fucking. The same with Sempiternal. People are like, oh, Sempiternal, man, it's a flawless record or whatever. For our band, our fans would say that, and like, it's not at all. There's definitely there's some really good songs on there, but like, there's definitely some stuff where we didn't, do the best, not like the best song ever. But I think it's quite hard to write like 10, 12, 13 like fucking perfect songs. You need some shit songs to make the other ones sound better, maybe.
Yeah, but they're not shit. I would say that's almost the perfect album. Shitter, I'll give you shitter.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
Shit.
And that's when Matt fucking stepped up as well. There's some like shit on there that's really hard. In fact, even on Ammo, I can't remember what song I was listening to the other day because me and my missus sometimes we'll get fucked up. We'll listen to Ammo. It's a good getting fucked up album.
It is, yeah. It's about what it's good for.
So come on, don't be like that. There's one, and the kick pattern. I was like, I've not seen any live footage of this, but that kick pattern sounds like a fucking pain in the arse, and it's not even like a double pedal one. It's just a lot of 16th notes. Bum ba dum ba dum. Can't remember what fucking song it was. One of the singles, one of the ones.
I won't know, to be honest. Yeah, but he definitely. I think his style changed. Obviously, like we slowed down a bit. So over the course of those couple of albums, the speed slowed down. So his style just adapted to the music we were making, I guess. But yeah, definitely he's a sick drummer.
Did he write the fill in Throne? You know the fill.
Which fill? I think you mean Avalanche.
Is it? I thought Throne had the fill with the closed hi-hat in it. Nice little... like a...
Hang on. Is it at the beginning?
No, it's like in the second verse. Maybe it's Happy Song. I don't know. There's,
I know that
know
fill.
Is it Happy
I think
Song?
it might have been a mutual effort, that one. It's
it's got
I can't even remember it.
It goes up onto closed hi-hat. It's got shades of Craig Reynolds in that, if I say so myself.
Yeah, no, I can't. To be honest, I can't remember, but probably. I mean, usually when we're demoing, it'll be like I'll put something in, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I wouldn't be able to play it like that, or it would be more like this," and then we'll kind of jiggle it around. And then when we get in the studio, sometimes they change a little bit more because he's obviously when he's actually playing them, they just can adapt a little bit. So yeah, fuck knows, I can't remember, to be honest.
I just remembered.
So yeah.
I just remembered I was supposed to do a little side project with Lee and Nick from Dead Swans.
Really?
and there were songs written and everything. It never came out.
I feel Lee's always doing side projects that don't happen though. Someone else was telling me that they've got a side project with Lee the other day. But do you know Lee went and played in a bunch of clubs around Sheffield with his like old function band like last year?
Really?
Which I didn't even know about. I thought that was quite crazy. He just like went and rocked up and played like Bon Jovi and whatever the fuck they play.
That's fucking
It's pretty
sick.
cool. Obviously, no one knew, like, there's no one there. So, like, no one who would know he was in Bring Me the Horizon just went and did, like, a club tour in, like, working men's clubs up north.
I love
guitar.
hearing people in massive bands who are still doing shit just for, like, the love of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? That makes me wish I could properly play, like shred on an instrument, because it'd be so cool just to do that.
Just go and do a fucking open mic night.
Yeah.
Right, so we've
There's
established
videos
you hate your best album. So we've done that.
I don't
bit.
hate any of our albums, but I just think there's no such thing as a perfect album. They're just different, aren't they?
Right. Anything good from that
So-
spirit? At this point, do you get asked to co-produce yet? Because there must have been millions of people going, come and do that.
Yeah, I've had after that album, I had a few people asking me. Yeah, but it was mostly bands that I wouldn't want to work with anyway.
Go on, you want to rinse?
No. I can't even remember names particularly, but there was a bunch of people who asked me to do stuff, but nothing that I felt like would be good for me. So I just kind of thought, I'll just wait. And we were so busy touring and stuff anyway, like so. And also, I had a kid towards the end of that cycle, so that also changed my perspective a little bit. So I'll try not to take on too much stuff. So yeah, that one went to number 2. So it was like Sempiternal was number 3 in the UK charts, and then that one we had that. Do you remember there was like a chart battle for number 1 with us and the Stereophonics?
Is that what it was?
They
were still banging out albums.
They were still enough to compete with us. Yeah, they still had, and they won. We were convinced we were going to win, and it was so weird during the week because it was like dirty tactics basically throughout the week.
From you or from them?
They started it, so it was obvious that they were going to be close. And you get like updates every day. They were like, "Oh, we think they've done this, and you've done this, and blah blah blah." And we weren't bothered about it to begin with, but within like a day or two, it was like, we were hooked in kind of thing, and it was like we really want to beat, we really want to get that number 1. And then they put on some shows with like ticket bundles, because you're allowed to do like shows, aren't you? With tickets, like you buy a ticket to we'll put on a show.
The big pad.
The big kind of like, so basically it'll be like 30 quid for a ticket or 31 quid for a ticket plus the album.
So everyone does it.
And so everyone gets the album. So it basically allows you to like sell a load more albums. So we were in America touring, and they put on a bunch of shows after like 3 days. They put on these shows for sale with ticket bundles, and obviously we were like, oh fuck, that's going to put them over us, because there's like 5,000. So we were like, what do we do? So we got onto Paul Ryan, who's our agent. He was like, okay, we're going to do a UK tour with 5 shows, academies. So we just basically made a tour in 24 hours, with whatever availability we could for like 3 months later, because you can redeem them as soon as they're redeemed and people get the download. It counts as an album sale. So even if the tour's in 6 months, if you sell the tickets and they get the download, they count towards the charts. So
again, every
every
motherfucker does this before anyone goes.
Oh yeah, it's standard. I mean, I don't know what the rules are nowadays, but at that time it was like a standard thing. But
it still happens.
Yeah, but anyway, it was just like, okay, they did this and they were going to go ahead, so it's like, oh fuck, we're going to have to try and do something to like get back to them. So we put on this tour, and it was Birmingham. It was how many tickets can we squeeze out of this thing? So we ended up doing we had 2 shows in Birmingham Academy, a matinee and an evening show.
Jesus.
So we had to do 5 shows in 5 days and a double in Birmingham. So it was in our only week off of about 3 months of touring. So they basically said, if we put this in here, you're going to have 0 time at home in the next 3 months, and you're going to have to do 6 shows in 5 days just before we go and do like some other horrible run with arenas and stuff. So it was basically like, if you're doing this, you realize it's going to be fucking horrible, and after the fact, we can't do it now, so it's going to be horrible for you in 2 months. And we were so keen to get it, we were just like, yeah, put it in, let's go. We're going to fucking beat them. And yeah, it got to the end of the week, and we sold, I think, 44,300 albums in the first week, and they sold 44,600. They beat us by about 300 albums.
Oh, they beat you by the fucking Mamaroos, Birmingham. You could have stuck a third show in at 9 p.m.
We could have done it. We could have done another matinee, a double matinee, and we could have had them. So
if it makes you
so
feel
close.
any
But then
better,
where do you draw the line?
If it makes you feel any better, I only really remember Stereophonics for whatever album came out after Performance and Cocktails. I bought it the same day I had my first wank, and I remember after having the first wank that I was feeling all very good about myself, and I was like, I'll just pop this CD on, and it was shit, and it ruined my day. So
that is such a strange.
It's 100% true as well. That's why it's
strange
so
that you've
funny.
linked those two things. My first wank. I can't remember my first wank.
You can't remember? No, there's no way you can't remember your first wank. I don't need to hear the details, but there's no way that first wank.
No, I can't. I can't remember my first wank. That's just the truth. Can't remember it.
Maybe I am weird. I'm definitely.
What is your first? What is your first wank?
No, the first. The first one with the credits
with an ending. Yeah.
Anyway,
let's get back on track.
Right.
So yeah, we lost by 300 albums, and then so that was that.
That was that.
But obviously 2 months later, we still had to do these fucking shows. So it was like the most miserable tour ever, because it was like you didn't get the number one album. Now you could be punished for 5 days and have to do like a matinee. We had to play an hour and a half matinee. We went back. I remember going back to the dressing room after like that show. And you know how you feel after a show.
Yeah.
And it's just like you're fucking exhausted. And it was like, right, half an hour, we're going back on stage again. They just turned the venue round.
Oh.
Have to do it all again. It was just mental.
I wonder
and obviously by that point, it was all for nothing.
We did that. We've done that twice, I think, 2 shows in one day. And I think both times they were at Hamburg Logo, which is my least favourite venue in Europe. There's no backstage. The stage is shit. The shows are always great, but there's nothing around. And a matinee show and then an evening show. And I think it might be the only time I've ever played drunk, because I was like...
Why did you do a matinee? Because it was under 18s and over 18s or something?
I think it was actually they sold. No, it wasn't like an Australia thing. Fuck yeah, I have done matinees in Australia, but it was. I think the tickets sold.
We have
sold
to actually.
far too fast, and there wasn't a choice to upgrade.
Yeah, so just doubled up.
Yeah. Oh, must be nice. Sold too many tickets. Let me ruin my day. Right. Yeah. So you've done That's the Spirit. That's done. Anything good after that, or you go straight into Ammo?
We had a break after that because I'd had a kid, and we'd gone straight from Sempiternal into That's the Spirit. So it had really been like 4 or 5 years non-stop without being home other than at Christmas, without being home for a big chunk of time. So we had like 3 months off. I did the mount. I climbed up Kilimanjaro for charity.
You and Ollie.
Me and Ollie in that period, before we got started, and then we started on Ammo. So and that was
a long
similar
time
kind of process.
ago.
The Kilimanjaro?
Yeah.
It was the 19th of October 2017.
So hang on. So you spent 3 years writing that album? No, 2 years writing that album. Oh, I guess that's normal, isn't it?
2 years writing it. No, we toured both those albums for 2 years non-stop. We didn't write while we were touring. We were just touring.
Okay, right, and then
we really used to like tour and then write. You know what I mean? It was like, right, we've finished the cycle. Now let's start writing, which we don't really do now. We're kind of constantly writing, but previously we'd kind of like sit down and be like, right, let's start writing. It was kind of a bit of a different process. So we finished that cycle, had 3 months off, did Kilimanjaro and all that shit, and then after Christmas, over Christmas, we got back into it, and we wrote through till I think we ended up going to America in June, to record it. So we did that in LA. We wrote it in Sheffield, and then we carried on writing it and finished recording it in LA in 2018. So that was another 2 months we lived in LA for.
And this is sort of the one where you got the pop fans, the pop side on. You're a pop rock band now, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe a bit.
I mean, it's good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you could be. Some of it has no thing that would let anyone know that there's a rock band in there.
Yeah, I guess so. It depends.
In a good way. I'm not saying it's bad. There's a lot of like.
Yeah.
I would say there's a lot of like, almost like Prodigy vibe to it. You know how the way that Prodigy were never really considered a rock or a dance or a pop band, but were simultaneously.
Yeah, they just had bits of guitars and stuff. Yeah. So I guess it was. Yeah, that one's probably our most out there album in terms of like varied styles, and it's not very rock. I think we kind of avoided trying to do anything that we'd done with regards to like rockiness on purpose. I don't know why. I think we were just so fed up with what we'd been doing that we just felt like we wanted to try and do something completely different. So I don't know why. It was probably the worst idea ever, but we just felt like we wanted to try and push ourselves to do something that felt completely different. So every song come out quite different because of that. So yeah, I mean, I actually think it's probably our best album, but in some ways, but it's definitely our most like divisive for sure.
Did you get backlash?
Yes, yeah, definitely. That was probably the only time I've ever had backlash from music we've put out that's actually like hurt me, I think.
Really? Anything stick out?
A little bit, yeah. We got around the time we released Medicine, which is probably the most pop rocky song on the album.
Yeah.
We got I got a lot of backlash, and we got a lot. I just looked at it and I was so excited to release it. We put so much work into it that I was just like open to getting hurt by the comments kind of thing, I think, just because I'd got myself so excited. And we went to radio, it was me and Nichols went to Radio 1 to do the Annie Mac promo. And yeah, I just remember like I was super buzzed out about it, and then just like obviously a lot of people saying, not a lot, but I mean enough for me to see the comments. Kind of like, and yeah, just I was just like, I'd worked so hard on the album, and everyone had. It was just like, oh god, what's the point? You know what I mean? It just kind of gave me that feeling of like, just overwhelming, depressed. To be honest, I was actually a little depressed after that for a little while. I had to see someone.
There's no shame in that, mate.
For a couple of times. Like couple. Yeah, I'd never had that before, and like having to actually talk to someone to try and like get myself out of the like feeling of like not wanting to get out of bed. It's quite a weird feeling,
especially if you haven't experienced it until like your 30s. You're like, wait,
no,
what the fuck? Some people deal with this all the time.
Yeah, I think it was just overwhelming. I'd put so much pressure on myself and worked so hard, and then to have it like hit me in the face that hard after really putting that much into it, I was just like,
yeah, but from who? From fucking shitheads? I know we had it when we released a song that was like so politically divisive that all the comments from the other side of politics went psycho. And even though they're people I would never want to listen to my music anyway, when you read like 10,000 of the comments, you can't help but just lose a bit of whatever is keeping your brain going.
Well, after that, I sort of changed it kind of put a bit more of I put a bit more of a divide between myself and the fans of the band, I would say. Which is the only downside, I guess, of that, is like I definitely don't feel like I have any kind of connection to our fan base in the way that I did before. Like I definitely,
hear that,
before
guys?
I felt like
you fucked it.
I mean, I don't care.
You fucked it up.
No, I don't think it means anything to anyone, but I definitely don't feel like no one could say anything that would hurt me now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't care what they think. Whereas before that, I'd been, you get a thick skin. Whereas before that, I'd allowed myself to be so open to like what people's opinions were and stuff that obviously like I left myself susceptible to that. And after that, I realized like I can't ever let this happen again, because I don't want to get out of bed and I've got children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like, I've got too many important things to worry about than to be bothered about what some kid thinks about the music I'm making.
Well, that video is good as well, isn't it?
Which one?
Medicine video. The fucking CGI shit.
Oh, the extra wet guy. Yeah, he's so cool. That shit's crazy. Have you seen his Instagram page, the guy who made it?
No.
It's literally like his style of video is just that. That's what he does. It's like heads that blow up and suck in and come out of toothpaste, and little bodies that all fall into each other and shit. That's like his style. He's a German dude.
So did Ollie find that guy? and then be like, I want...
Ollie found him and said, I want this guy to do a video.
I kind of
so
love how finding out how hands-on he is with shit. I would imagine sometimes
very
bands
hands-on.
get this big and then the singer just goes, well, I'm the singer, so I'll just do whatever.
Our band is like super DIY. That's the weirdest thing about our band. So like we've got a song coming out in, it's meant to be coming out in 3-4 days. So we recorded that ourselves. He's done the video. He filmed it we have a video guy who's like our tour video guy, and he kind of works with us all the time, but self-directed. He's cut it himself on Adobe or Final Cut, whatever he uses. Like,
wait, it comes out in 4 days? It's just common knowledge?
Yeah. I think Ollie's come out and said the song's coming out. I don't think anyone knows that we've done a video.
Is this the shit that you've been doing those videos for, where you're like writing? What is that shit?
Yeah, exactly.
You're like doing FaceTime writing sessions?
Yeah, exactly. So that was us writing this song. So we made this song over Skype effectively. So that's coming out in like 3 or 4 days, unless we push it. We're still kind of debating whether it's appropriate to even release a song right now with everything that's going on. So
yeah,
if we push it back, it gets pushed back, but we'll see. I think we're gonna judge it on Monday and see. It's really hard, isn't it, to know what to do, kind of thing. So
yeah,
without wanting to get into it particularly.
I mean, this is going to come out way after.
Yeah.
This,
okay.
So
well, then
hopefully your song will already be out
then, won't
it? What's it called?
There you go.
If anyone hasn't checked it out.
It's called Parasite Eve.
Parasite Eve. There you go.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really great.
It is a good one, I have to say. I'll send it to you if you want. You can cut in and see if you like it.
I forgot I got ammo really early as well. You're allowed to say that? In fact, you're not allowed to say that. I think it already leaked when you sent it to me. But I had a story about leaking, actually. But when you said the thing about sempiternal leaking, I have a friend who's a producer, and he sent... I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm not going to name any names anyway. But he sent the guitarist of a band one of the mixes from the album they were working on, what he was mixing their album. The guitarist then accidentally leaked that song, and then the label sued the producer for
sending it to the guitarist.
For quote unquote loss of earnings, and he had to settle it out of court.
Blimey.
Fucking bunch of cunts. Cunt snakes.
It doesn't sound possible, does it?
But it does. At the top, the vermin that run some of the record labels, you know who you are, you fucking wankers. Anyway, that's a bit much.
Shout out to Sony UK.
No, they're nice, aren't they? They're nice. They're nice people.
Nah, none of them are nice.
Whoa! Fuck.
They're all terrible people.
I suppose you're big enough that you could just fucking... You just rinse.
No, they could drop us. No, I'm only joking. Our label are actually brilliant. I hate to say it because I feel like really corporate saying that they're actually a really good label. But
same with ours.
They are. That's another thing people don't believe. People often think that like our record label have something to do with our band in terms of anything. They don't have. They do loads of stuff for us, but in terms of like the direction of any element of our band, they don't. They have no. Pretty much Ollie says, here's what we're going to do for a video, here's what we're going to do for, and we'll give them an album. Like, they didn't hear Ammo they haven't heard any of the 3 albums we've done until they were basically finished. And other than I think maybe one of them or 2 of them have voiced an opinion on like what they think the single should be. They maybe say, we think that one should probably be the 2nd single instead of the 3rd. And that kind of feedback, I don't give a shit. They're all our songs. Like, I don't find that offensive at all.
Well, you're still punk rock. You're still doing it DIY.
You've gone all muffled.
It's because...
And I can hear myself back.
Hang on. What's happening is my AirPods are running out of battery, so we're actually probably going to have to fucking...
Call it soon.
I mean, yeah, we're going to...
It's long, to be fair, it's been an hour and a half, hasn't it?
An hour and a half, which is actually longer than most episodes by the time I've done some waffling at the beginning. So unless you've got anything...
Well, where did we get to then? Let's wind forward.
Ammo's come out.
Pretty much. Ammo's come out.
Didn't win a Grammy.
Blah, blah, blah.
An album that
didn't win a Grammy, but...
Perfect Circle won the Grammy.
Yeah,
very disappointed. Your mates with Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah. Having mates with Forrest Whitaker, yeah. And that's it, really.
That's about it.
That's about where we finish. And then new material now, so we're not going to do albums anymore next. We're going to do a series of EPs starting with, I think so, we're going to do like a sort of 6, 7 or 8 track almost like a mini album, but we're going to try and do a series of them that are all connected.
Is that announced?
No.
Are you going to get in trouble for that? Because that will
No,
be
because
taken-
we've said as much already. Ollie's already said we're not going to do albums. We're going to do EPs, but we haven't exactly. I mean, this can all change as well. We're still figuring it out because obviously, like, we don't really know. But I definitely know that we're doing an EP soon.
Nice.
That's because we've written half of it. So,
How are you doing this FaceTime writing? Because I've seen the videos. Like, do you have a specific app you're using, or are you just sticking FaceTime on?
So what we do is I use this thing called Audio Movers, which is like an app that it's like a plugin that I put on Pro Tools, and then it streams to Chrome or to another like DAW, and Ollie can listen to the high quality MP3 stream as we're working.
That's so
And then-
clever.
Yeah, pretty much he'll like sit with his like headphones on, and he's got his mic there as well, and then he'll like write stuff down, like lyrics, and he'll tell me what to do. I'll play stuff back, because a lot of the time when we work, he's not doing anything hands-on, he's just listening, and I'm making, and he'll be like, yeah, no. So to be honest, it's not really any different. Like he's mostly just listening and trying to assess from like more of a background position, and I'm like hands-on trying to make chords and be like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? So in terms of that process, it hasn't actually made that much of a difference.
That's fucking cool.
But I have him on FaceTime as well, so we can still see each other. So I've got so used to it now that it doesn't feel that weird, which is kind of crazy. So I think to some extent we'll probably carry on with it, because it allows us to do like small sessions without me being away from the kids and shit. So yeah, it's cool, and it's worked. He records himself, so I play the music down.
He records with a Rode fucking NT2A.
No, that's a Neumann. I'll have you know.
Oh
actually.
right, you should have had the logo.
It's a Neumann.
In the fucking...
It's my mic, so.
All right, why has he got? I was literally, when I saw it, I was like, that can't be a Rode mic. You're like one of the biggest singers in fucking any band on earth, and that looks like a Rode.
Well, it was because when we were there last time, it was like the lockdown was beginning, so I kind of like left my interface and all my shit set up there, so that knowing that basically the only recording we're going to have to do is him. Because obviously the rest of the shit I can do with either DIs or just like MIDI. So it was like, okay, I'll leave this here, set you up. And then he just figured out how to record himself. He records himself on Logic, I think. And then he dumps them into Dropbox for me, the audio files. I drag them into Pro Tools, comp them up, and then make a take. And it's like, sweet.
That's how me and
move on.
Tom write Stray stuff at the moment as well. The Dropbox thing. But the annoying thing is we both use Logic, so what happens is if he's recording guitar, obviously all the little tiny takes he makes, my Dropbox will go, Thomas changed 1085 files, and my Dropbox is
so have you got the session in there then in
it's
the
like a
Dropbox?
shared folder.
See, we don't do that. We just literally like he'll make a long audio file and drop the whole thing in, and I import it.
Interesting.
So we're not sharing a session, but that probably sharing a session would be a better way to work. But
accidentally deleting, and it's actually a nightmare. So just stick to what you do. I don't want to be responsible for your destroying the Bring Me Horizon EP. Let's call it, unless you've got anything to say.
That's it. That's all I got to say.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thanks very much. We should do a round two. I feel like I've got more to talk about.
I feel like you
covered
do as
the
well.
Newbury. There's a lot of Newbury scene history.
What we're going to do? We're going to
Silosis.
do one in person.
We could do one in person. Talk about Josh from Silosis.
We could talk about Josh from Silosis all day, but
or Exit 10. I feel like there's a lot to talk about.
We're not doing that now. We'll do that in the next one. The next one will be far more matey, with like a nice beer or coffee
teasers.
or whatever.
I'm doing little teasers. That's like a cliffhanger.
All right.
In the next one, it's going to be talking about
old bands that you don't give a fuck about.
Face Bar, Exit 10, Silosis. Who else?
No Made Sense.
No Made Sense, yeah.
Right, fuck off. This is fine. This is done. I'm running out of battery.
Right.
This has been emotional. I've really enjoyed it. It's been nice to catch up. Send me your file.
Thanks very much.
Don't delete
See you in a
it.
bit.
I'll see you later, mate.
I won't.
Bye.
Bye.